Good morning. Hi, I'm Frank Messina, and this is the March 18, 2025 meeting of the Chatham Historical Commission. Before we begin, we have a few announcements. Please note, this meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and on-demand viewing on any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone else is recording the meeting, please notify the chairman. Seeing none? Okay, I lost my place. Pursuant to Governor Healy's March 29, 2023 signing of the Acts of 2023, extending certain provisions of the COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law 30A-20, until March 31st, 2025. That's soon, isn't it? This meeting of the Chatham Historical Commission is being conducted in person and via remote participation. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to the meeting while in progress may do so by calling the phone number 508-945-4410, conference ID 191-714-039, hashtag, or join the meeting online via Microsoft Teams through the link in the posted agenda. While this meeting is a live broadcast and simulcast on Chatham TV, despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide for real-time access. We'll post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. Have you heard anything about the March 31st date?
Yes, we got updated yesterday that they've pushed it to, I don't exactly know the date, in 2027. It has to go and get voted on, and then it has to go to Maura Healy's desk, Governor Healy's desk.
So we're going to have something different to read.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you very much. The first item of business here is the roll call. Bob Lear, Vice Chair.
Here.
Nancy Barr, Clerk.
Here.
Thank you, Nancy. Stephanie Hamilton.
Here.
Sandy Porter. Sandy is absent. Janet Tennyson.
Here.
Robert Stevens.
He's away, Florida.
Bob's away. Keep looking over there. Too many Bobs. Robert Wilson.
Here.
Here. And the chair is here. We continue to have one alternate position open. I actually met with somebody at the Chatham Men's Club who's interested, so I'll be sending out some stuff. As the alternate, we don't have any hearings, but there's one vote that we're planning, so you get to vote today, okay, as a full member. All right, thank you very much. All right, just very quickly, we have no hearings, but we do have one item we have to discuss and take a vote on as the commission. But first, we'll do the minutes. We have the minutes of February 18, 2025. Any comments or questions?
I move we accept the minutes as written.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion and moved and second. All right, no other comments, so we'll do a roll call. Bob?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Okay, that was simple. As I said, for the members of the board and the public, the only real significant new business item we have is as it said on agenda, the Nickerson Homestead Archaeological Dig, review and discussion of the NFA and CCF, that's the Nickerson Family Association, Chatham Conservation Foundation, final comments to the draft DOE report. And what I'm looking for is approval to submit the draft DOE report and the letters of support to Mass Historic. Let me spend a minute or two just quickly bringing the members up to speed and also the members of the public. This is an archaeological dig, which we had suspicion many, many years ago, not just us, but I guess people in Chatham and the Nickerson family, that this was the ancestral homestead of the Nickerson family, William and Ann Nickerson homestead. Everybody kind of knew where we thought it was, but an archaeological dig was started, I think it was in 2018, seems like yesterday. And over the years, there have been discovery, yes, into confirmation from an archaeological point of view that this truly is the site of the Anne and William Nickerson homestead. In addition to that, as members, a few members of the commission were able to go on a site visit yesterday to the site. Well, you look at the site, it's just, right now, it's just a piece of open land, but we had some information. I asked Christina to give you folks a copy. This is a copy of some information which was handed out to the members of the commission who were present about the archaeological sites and the specific things which they found, the location, and it talks about, you know, the furnace, the workshop, the palisades, the hearth, the barn, and everything else which they were able to at least archaeologically prove that this, in fact, is the Anne and William Nickerson homestead. Having said that, Gary Nickerson, former Judge Gary Nickerson, who was one of the lead volunteers with Craig Cartier, who was the archaeologist, you know, doing the dig and finding things. He shared with us gave us a preview of artifacts that the Nickerson Homestead, Nickerson Family Association are going to put on view. There are artifacts here in the lobby, actually, and there are in the other places in town where they have shown it. But this is going to be a composite of all the significant artifacts. The coins they found from the 17th century, the keys, and it was really quite interesting. And hopefully, I believe it's going to be open in June during Historic Chatham's History Month for public viewing. So it's just interesting. So, you know, back to what we're here for is you do have that draft, revised draft report with the corrections relative to the naming of the situation which was resolved between the two organizations. And certainly I have no problem with it. And hopefully you had a chance to look at the draft. I know it's 40-some pages. And a lot of it is the compilation of the results of the archaeological dig that Craig Cartier performed. The way that process is, you know, when you do a formal archaeological dig, you need permission from Mass Historic, not permission to do the dig, but permission to formally do the dig and register the results of the dig. And that's what Craig Cartier did with the help of the volunteers. And those reports, you know, it's similar to like our Form As or Form Bs. So you document what you find and you file it in Mass Historic. And it was back in 2019 when I thought, wow, this could probably be a National Register, you know, site. And everybody agreed, and then we proceed with the process. This is the culmination of the first step in the process, which is a report to be submitted to the Mass Historic for a determination of eligibility in the site. Is, in fact, this site eligible for listing on the National Register of Historic Places? Just a quick aside before I ask you any comments on the report, for your information, the public, what is the process next? All right, we submit this report to Mass Historic. Hopefully within 30 or 60 days, they're going to respond positively and say, absolutely, this site is really archaeologically significant and potentially eligible for listing on the National Register. If we do that, that's a major win. And then hopefully after that 30 or 60 days, we, the town of Chatham, looking over Christina, because she's obviously a big helping us get it, we have to generate a contract again with Holly Herbster, PAL, to prepare the actual nomination form, which is, you know, minimal cost, but still is a cost. We don't do that, you know. I'd like to say I can write a report like that, but I don't, okay? So she will then prepare the nomination to Mass Historic. Mass Historic then begins a quite laborious process of reviewing the site, visiting the site, looking at the artifacts, looking at the technical details, and it'll take about 1.5 years, easy, could be 2 years, before they'll come back and say, yes, we think this site is in fact worthy of listing on the National Register of Historic Places. I use a different term, not eligible, but worthy. After Mass Historic does that, we actually, through Holly Herbster, actually make a formal presentation to Mass Historic Commission on the nomination. Assuming that all gets approved, then they submit it to the National Park Service. We assume the National Park Service is still gonna be around.
Let's hope.
The National Park Service then reviews the nomination, and I'm told, at least a little bit of history that I have in these matters, once the State Historical Commission, formal board formalizes it, it's kind of pro forma at the federal level. And that's it. Then it gets listed. It sounds like an awful lot of work, but, Chatham currently has, and Christina, help me here, in our booklets, do we have a list of all the National Register sites in Chatham?
In our binders, you're saying?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I can check.
Do me a favor, because Robert asked me at the last time, what are they? And there's like
So the
20
buildings and the districts?
Say again?
The buildings and the
The
districts?
buildings and the districts. So
Sure.
we have about 21 or 24, I forget, individual places and districts which are listed on the National Register. So this just adds to that. We're not, some towns up in Boston which may have 100 places, but it is significant, and I think it adds to our, the historic Chatham, if you will. So that's kind of where we are. Any questions about the process, and more importantly, does anybody have any problems or questions about the revised draft?
I had a question.
Yes.
Is there a funding requirement to do all this work for this process, and how does that work?
Luckily, the town of Chatham, Katie Donovan, our Director of Community Development, has put funds aside for various small projects which the Historical Commission has undertaken, and this has been funded by the town. Traditionally, we used to apply for and receive community preservation funds for this work. That pipeline has kind of been dried up for us with different priorities within the Community Preservation Committee, and such is life. So, and I have had discussions with Katie about the next phase, and she's telling me she is putting together and attempting to identify the necessary funds. I would say donations are accepted. In fact, the Nickerson Family Association has donated a small sum, or committed a small sum to the task. They probably could provide more. Maybe our friends at the Chatham Conservation Foundation want to also participate, because they're the ones, it's their building, it's their site that's going to be listed. So either way, I'm determined personally, and I think, we need to 2018 is a long time ago, guys. Yeah. And it's, between COVID and everything else delaying this thing, this is almost as bad when we tried Stage Harbor Road as National Register. Stephanie's smiling because she was one of the few members of the commission who was here at the time. That was a 3 years of disappointment, but here we are. But, we're moving ahead. So, after with that speech, does anybody have any other further question in addition to Robert?
I have a comment, Frank, because I've been involved with this for quite a while, because I was on the Conservation Foundation when it got started. And the foundation thought they'd like to do something with this property. It was completely overgrown with every invasive you could find. And that's sort of what led to an impetus to find out what's underneath all that vegetation. So it's been a long and, I would say, carefully vetted trail to get to this point, so I have no problems with it.
Great. I'm glad you pointed that out, but I would also want to note that with this particular handout that I gave you, these numbers here are actual physical sites. You can't see anything. You go there and it's just a piece of ground. But it is the plan of the Nickerson Family Association to put kiosks, because I guess you wrote that, where there will be a display explaining what is there and what's in the ground. and they'll have QR codes where you can actually look at the artifacts, like, the things they found, the pottery they found, the the historic tools. They found Indian hatchets and stuff like that. So they found a lot of artifacts, which I think the public would be very interested in, including, some coins from the 17th century. So I think it's going to be a fascinating tour and on that side. By the way, well, let me proceed with this when we got another thing.
Before the vote, can I make one more statement?
Sure.
Yeah, I'd like to call attention to Table 1 on page 26 of this report, which has a great spreadsheet of all the stuff they found. And I'm a spreadsheet guy, and so it's a really nice table. And there's like a total of 357,000 objects. in there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really impressive.
What page is that, 26?
26, I think it is, yeah.
Right, exactly. It's funny, you mentioned that, and it is that because when, at yesterday's site visit, Gary pointed out that, there are boxes and boxes of materials which they really haven't analyzed. I mean, they have done, what's that, carbon dating. So they have dated, carbon dated some items to actually know the date of these particular things. So, it's not somebody digging in the ground with a spoon. It's done very, and as you pointed out, there are hundreds of thousands of items which yet to be defined. I mean, it's not like they find a key. Oh, that's what a key. You find something, you're not sure what it is. So it's a lot of work, and a lot of work which could continue to be done, because the site of the house is fine, but there's a larger area where there was a barn and other things to go on, the Palisades and all that kind of stuff. So it is quite interesting. Thank you very much for pointing that out, Robert. Yeah. Okay, any other comments, question? Can we get a motion to approve it if the board's so inclined?
I move the Chatham Historical Committee submit to the state this draft report for nomination of the William Nickerson Homestead and the Monomoic homelands to be on the National Register of Historic Places.
I second the motion.
Thank you very much. Any other further comments? Okay, roll call. Bob?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes,
And the chair votes yes. Thank you very much. I just wanted to add one quick aside. I'm not a Nickerson, but I do appreciate what they're doing. In addition to this activity, those of us who were involved in the commission with, I can't think of the name of the street where the William Nickerson's homestead was for his son. Shell Drive. Oh, how can I forget? Good old Shell Drive, which we spent a couple of
yeah.
years trying to save.
The barn.
That was we believe, William Nickerson's son home. Unfortunately, the owner, he saved the house, quotes, but he didn't restore it. The house is there physically, but the interior is pretty gutted. But the only thing we were able to save in its historic pristine value is the barn, which they've also carbon gated, and the barn also goes back to 1700. And
CPC gave money for,
say again?
which CPC gave money
I
for.
was about to go there, which was funded by the Community Preservation Committee and the town of Chatham, and I see Dean DeCastro here looking in, so thank you very much, Dean, we do appreciate that. And what was shared with us at yesterday's site visit with the Nickerson Family Association is sometime in June, there's gonna be a barn raising, that they're physically going to begin to reassemble the barn with a good old-fashioned barn raising. They're not gonna bring a tractor in, they're gonna, build the walls on the ground and then lift it up. So that should be a real photo opportunity for our friend Tim Wood at the Chronicle, so, but that should be a good thing. There'll be more information coming about that. So at least we're gonna see some element of that original historic site, saved. Okay, quickly, we have, the only correspondence we have, which you do have a copy of it, is a correspondence from the Cape Cod Commission in response to our referral form to a Development of Regional Impact, a DRI, where we referred 75 Holloway Street to the Cape Cod Commission. The letter you have a copy of was a registered letter to their attorney, Mr. Riley, informing them that they have received it and they have so many days till April 29th in order to hear that case. So this process is really something which is the Cape Cod Commission's activity. I'm not sure if and when we will be involved. They may ask us for information or something, but traditionally, I believe, as Christine will confirm, they really don't. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the town, she said, is kind of out of it at this point. The commission will be invited to any hearing that they will be scheduling. So I will she'll keep me informed of all of that. But as the town is concerned right now, and the commission is, we do not do anything further.
Very good. Okay, well, that takes care of that. Review of rules and regulations, as we have briefly discussed in the past. We're moving ahead with this. The next step, as it actually was in the minutes, and that we just approved from the 18th, and unfortunately, nothing has changed yet, is Katie Development, and Katie Donovan, the Director of Community Development, with Christine's assistant, is preparing the necessary forms to submit a request to the town council, the new town council, on an opinion on determining historical significance and how it can be delegated, as well as the continued, application. So we need a legal opinion on that. So that's where we are, so we're kind of stuck in the water. The other item on that same issue, I'm gonna jump down, because I think we're done with new business. Old business is the demolition by neglect. That's kind of been on the back burner, and I've asked community development to meet with me and the new principal planner, Christine O'Grady, to see where we are on that and how we're gonna proceed if not. In addition, also in your old business, just to give you a highlight, Christina, she's got a lot of work going on. We're meeting and discussing with Eric Dre on the process of getting the updated of Form As and Form Bs. First item in old business we just took care of, and that's the submission of the DOE. The return of the boathouse, that's moving along. I mean, the projection now is hopefully the fall of next year. That it would plan to come back. There's still work to be done by the people who own the boathouse, and before it comes back down again. So that's moving along. We don't have any demolition delays that we need to take note of, or anything happening?
So 75 Hallway should be in there. I forgot to put that in, but I did want to update you. 322 Bridge Street did go and get approved through zoning. I have not seen anything come through on the building side for permits or anything like that. And 230 Barcliff has, they applied for their demo and rebuild permits. So
All right.
that's just the changes.
One thing I would add on the chairman's report is that the issue of 1553 Main Street, there is we submitted our comments to Mass Historic and to the I submitted to everybody, including the Select Board and the Zoning Board, the comments from our particular meeting. But the comment I wanted to make, and I'm digging for my calendar here, I apologize, on next Monday, on May 24th, I think at 5:30. Say again? March, excuse me, 5:30, on March 24th, at 5:30, the planning board, that's the next step, just as the potential developer, Penrose, presented to us and to the HBDC, they're now gonna present to the planning board. I think that's the last stop. These are informal courtesy reviews. Where the rubber meets the road is the zoning board, which will be, it's not yet scheduled, and that's where what's called the comprehensive permit. Rather than the applicant, because it's a 40B, having to go to each board and get separate approval, There's one approval, which is the zoning board. They act as like the grand master, if you will, and review everything. I plan personally to go to the planning board on the 24th to just reiterate our particular comments. And one of the reasons I'll do that is that also when I listened to the HBDC, they had similar comments and concern relative to the plainness or the commercial look of the development versus really fitting into the streetscape. So, hopefully they're listening and they're making some changes, and more importantly, the approving authority, which I believe is the final approving authority, and I'm gonna ask Mr. DeCastro, who's in the audience, is the final approving authority of the whole thing the zoning board, or does it come back to the select board?
The zoning board,
The zoning
the
board.
zoning board,
They're the final approving authority. All right.
yes, that's my understanding. This is the first time we've done this, but yes.
Thank you. That was Mr. Dean DeCastro, our select board person. All right. I think I've done it, guys. Anything else? Anybody have any other comments, questions? Nancy, anything out there? You enjoying yourself?
Nope, all set. Yes, I am. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. All right, so motion to adjourn, please?
I move we adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
Okay. I don't assume there's no discussion. Bob?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes?
Chair votes yes. Thank you very much.
Very good.